Hey, Stephanie.
Hey,
This is
Susan.
so fun. Hey, as you know, I am one of your founding members of the Happy Squirrel Collective. One of your newest happy squirrels. And I wanted to talk with you today about like, what is this Happy Squirrel Collective that you've imagined? Like, can you give us the overview? You know, I've got some questions for you, but just frame this whole thing. What is this? And we can go from there.
So I find that so many courses and programs and things out there have this really standard curriculum, like do these 5 steps and you will be successful, no matter what the topic is, whether it's business or time management or whatever. And I, for one, don't always love that. And I wanted to create a space where people could come together, especially people, an ADHD friendly place. So people with
Right.
ADHD or scattered tendencies, so that they could learn to do business their own way in a way
Mhm.
that suits them, that feels good to
Mhm.
them. And so this is
Mhm.
really a place of self-discovery where I
Mhm.
can use all of my coaching skills to
Mhm.
help people learn more about themselves and about how they want to do business and how they want to do business their way.
Mhm.
And so that's part of it, like doing things their own way. And then the other part is I really want it to be an action focused space where people are supported in actually getting things done.
Right.
Another thing that I noticed is that there's a lot of talk and we all talk about how to do things better, but the
Mhm.
actual taking the time to get the action done, I think is really valuable.
Yeah. Ooh, that's really exciting. Like, I mean, I know a lot about the community and that, like, the collective that you're envisioning, but even just hearing you talk about it again, it's like, ooh, okay, fun
Well, and I
things are
guess I
going to
should say,
happen
yes,
here.
it is also in a community format. So it's not
Right.
like my intention isn't that I'm at the front of the room, like telling people what to do. The intention is that I can facilitate discussion
Right.
online in some
Mhm.
calls
Mhm.
and facilitate that action and self-discovery.
Right.
And
Right.
also that everyone learns from each other. Again,
Right.
facilitating so that people share and everyone gets ideas and know they're not alone and that they
Yeah.
can be inspired.
Yeah. In my experience of like finding my own best way to do it, when I hear other people sharing their ideas, I'm usually like, oh, that's such a great idea. I'm gonna try that. Or like, oh no, I've tried that. That doesn't work for me. Or, oh, for sure I can't. So that pinging, that back and forth has, in my experience, been so helpful to arrive at what works for me. So I really like the idea of a collective and coming together. So,
And just to expand on that, when you learn like, oh, okay, that person's doing it that way, that won't work for me. The part where I really want to help facilitate is
mhm.
asking the questions, why didn't that work for you? What
Mm,
about that is appealing to you? What about
mm.
that system feels like it could work? And how could you adapt it for your business, your style, your tendencies, your motivation? So
Love that.
I don't have answers to those things. Everyone in the community will have their own
Yeah,
different answers, but
yeah,
asking those prompt questions to go a little bit deeper is how we're going to
perfect.
accelerate that self-discovery.
Perfect. Yeah, and I can even feel how for the things I've discovered work for me, that ownership that it's like, oh yeah, that really does. And here's why. Tried
Mhm.
and true. Oh, fantastic.
And
Now
if it
let's,
stops working for you, why? You
yeah,
know? So
yeah.
sorry, I cut you off a couple
No,
times.
that's exactly it. And with a recent diagnosis of ADHD, which I'm still coming around, I really appreciate that opportunity to look at like what does work for my brain. And I think that's really something for a question for everybody, whether you have ADHD or not. So I'm
Exactly.
curious, elephant in the room. Do you have ADHD? And you call it an ADHD friendly? Like, tell me more about you and ADHD and how me having ADHD, being with you who doesn't, I don't think, what that's going to look like.
Right. So this was a big question as I was developing this community.
Hmm.
And it was something I did a lot of research around, asking a lot of people how they felt about it, because I, to my knowledge, do not have ADHD. And yet, over my 11 years as a coach, have had so many clients work with me who do have ADHD.
Hmm.
They were maybe undiagnosed and suspected it, or they had a recent diagnosis, or they'd known for many years, but they would bring it up in coaching. And sometimes they wouldn't bring it up, and I never assumed any one which way or another.
Hmm.
But over the past couple of years, it just seems to be some sort of combining of either I'm really owning my skills as a structured, accepting, non-judgmental person who's good at systems and time management, and people kind of see that and are drawn to it. When they don't
Hmm.
have those skills, people are
Yeah.
drawn to it. I think it could be that. And
Mhm.
I think there's also just the people I work with are business owners, and
Yeah.
many business owners have ADHD. And
Yeah.
so I think it's a combination of the two of those things.
Mhm.
And what I am hearing from so many people is, one, it's an asset that I don't have ADHD so that they don't have to be led by someone who
Well,
is
that you
scattered
don't.
and
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sorry. So that they don't have to be led by someone who's scattered and unfocused, or starts
Right.
things and doesn't finish them and that sort of thing. So
Right.
they, I think, are going to feel very held
Yeah.
in a confident way by
Mm.
my skills in that area.
Mm.
I also don't have preconceptions about, well, this is how I handle my ADHD, so you must do it this way too. I
Fair.
don't. And so I don't, I think a lot of coaches draw on their own experience. And in this case, I really am drawing from
Mm.
everybody's
Yeah.
experience in
Yeah.
a collective sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You are like a prefrontal goddess, like in terms of your ability to, my experience of you, to envision and then consistently execute and see something through. And it's not like there aren't any, challenges along the way or doubts along the way. That's really what I'm super excited about in terms of working with you, is you hold these really nice riverbanks,
Mhm.
themes for yourself, and that I'm envisioning will be made available to me in this community to actually see things through to a
Yeah.
place of completion. So, yay.
Well, I also find, again, from what I've heard from my research that I've done, is that not a lot of spaces are ADHD friendly.
Mm,
Not a
hmm.
lot of spaces are being uh, intentional with how they're building the space. I could have just as easily built a space for without all of this. And well, I could have much easier built a space without all of this in mind, of course. But I think that's going to be the magic of this, is being really
Mm.
thoughtful about how the
Right,
space is built.
right,
I've been
right.
talking about it like, because it's the Happy Squirrel Collective. So the members are the squirrels, and I am the solid oak tree. I'm here
Nice.
with the roots and the solid grounding, the shelter, the structure that the squirrels need, the protection, the
I
love.
know, right? Like you can, leaping from branch to branch, we'll have fun, but we're all still connected to you. I love that. I love that. You know that I use metaphor in my work, so I love that so, so, so much. Do you have to have ADHD to come into this community? And if someone didn't, why would they think about joining? Should they think about joining? Or is this just not for them? What are you thoughts on that? Oops.
I'm a little bit like working with that question. So
Hmm.
certainly for now, I mean, I'm not strict about the definition of ADHD. It's certainly, you could be diagnosed, you could be undiagnosed, you could just suspect you have ADHD. The important thing for me is that this is a place where people are, um, I've been in spaces where people don't think ADHD exists,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And
Okay.
so I really want to make sure that it's ADHD forward, so to speak. So
Yeah.
um, I don't want people coming in to prey on people with ADHD and try and sell to them. I really want to hold this as um, a a safe and trusting space. And I
Yeah.
think to do that, having a collective experience and understanding and language is going to be important. So as of now, this is an answer I have not articulated, but as of now, I am definitely sticking with the ADHD world. But again,
Mhm.
the diagnosis is not a requirement.
Right. Yeah. No, I didn't have to submit any papers to get joined. And like your whole thing is like doing business your way. So, I'm excited because I think that you do that yourself. Like you model that. And so I would expect that that will, that we can hold these questions lightly and see where they go.
Yeah.
So, Stephanie, I know you're very solution oriented, and I like my outcomes too. When I'm being the coach that I am, being the business person, I want to know that I'm going to be a bit different. I'm going to grow. Something will have developed and changed. And so that's my long question way of asking, after I've been in the community year, like the collective has been together for you, like, what do you hope is different then?
I think so many things. And I also don't have expectations on people that they need to be a certain way, that they're like that we're working towards this particular goal or outcome. And maybe that's a taboo thing to say in the coaching industry because we're all like results focused, but I don't have expectations for the members. I'm not holding you to this like ruler that you have to measure yourself against.
Mhm,
My hope is that people know themselves better,
mhm,
therefore their day to day is easier, that people feel more grounded
mhm.
and focused or on top of things, or that sense of overwhelm has been reduced. And I think all of that comes by knowing yourself better and putting together the systems and tools and infrastructure in place that can help support you
Yeah,
and the members. So I think that's true regardless if you have ADHD or not. That's certainly across the board. That's my hope for anyone that I work with. And I another taboo thing to say is I don't really see an end. There's no end goal because there kind of never really is with personal development, but there's also no end date. I definitely don't want it to be like, well, in 1 year, that's that, right? I see this as being a growing community that people stay in and get
mhm,
ongoing mentorship, support,
mhm.
collaboration from people in the group, from me. I want
Yeah,
to keep the price affordable so that it's something that can just be a support to your business ongoing.
yeah,
So it can be somewhere you can come to and you have questions or
right.
to continue that reflection process.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm still blown away by the price. I actually want to see the value because I think there's a such a solid connection and like just insane value for the price. So I feel so fortunate. Hey, so can we get a little more practical? So, in terms of like you're a coach, and I'm thrilled that I'm going to be able to access that part of you because as a business bestie, I try to not lean in there too much because yeah, but anyway, I'm curious now that I'll be in this space is with procrastination, what would that look like from me in your community to be someone that sometimes procrastinates on things?
So I thought a lot about this question, and I think about this question a lot. I've written about it before, and
Hmm.
it is a constant topic with clients. Things like procrastination or starting projects and not finishing
Hmm.
them, and
Yeah.
um, overwhelm and getting stuck. And so all of these things I know you probably were going to ask about, but I don't think there's one answer for
Mm.
like how you solve procrastination, but I think there are a few avenues to explore with a
Yeah.
lot of these things, whether it's procrastination or starting things and not finishing them. Sometimes, yes, this is a tendency. This is a a wiring in the brain. 100% can totally get behind that. And there are a few different ways that I support people with this. So
Mhm.
one of the ways is to help people break things down into smaller steps. So one of
Okay.
the reasons we procrastinate or don't finish things or get stuck is because we actually just don't know the next step. Or
Yeah.
the next step is too big, or the next step is unclear or feels
Mhm.
overwhelming. So
Mhm.
breaking things down can really, really help get you unstuck.
Right.
Another thing that could be the problem, and this is where asking prompt questions and stuff is how I would
Yeah.
approach this, really. But
Mhm.
another thing that could be the problem is that you're working on the wrong thing to begin with, right?
Oh, okay.
Sometimes we procrastinate something because it's just not the thing that is helpful or meaningful, or it's not the thing we need to fit our vision or our bigger picture
Yeah.
ideals. So knowing like, am I actually even working on the right thing? Like, should I even be working on this? I think is
Right.
important.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Another thing is the mindset side of things. So sometimes we have it all broken down, but we're still resisting doing the thing or the step, or we start another project because we're avoiding this project. It's
Yeah.
not always why we start another project,
Yeah.
but that's one reason. And so looking at the mindset pieces, like, is it self-doubt? Is it fear? Is there worry? Is there, if I do this thing, then this other thing's going to happen and I'm worried about
Mhm.
that other thing, right?
Yeah.
Even launching this community, I mean, I had broken it all down. I know it's the right thing, but I get to the steps of launch and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I launch this, people are going to join. And if people join, I'm going to have to lead them. And if I have to lead them, like, what if I say something wrong? And if I say
Mhm.
something wrong, and what if people leave? And like, you can see the cascade of worries that, of course, I don't want to send an email. I'm
Mhm.
perfectly capable of sending the email. I know what I'm going to say, but of course I would resist sending that email
Yeah.
when there's this cascade of fears, right? So if we don't acknowledge that that's a possibility, then I could tell you till I'm blue in the face to send the email, but your entire body and being is going to resist it if you're
That's
worried about all of
exactly.
these other things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the last thing I'll mention here, there's still lots of other things that we could get into, but is also sometimes there's a skill gap. Sometimes we don't know how to do the thing, or we're not the right
Right.
person to do the thing, or um, we could just get help doing the
Yeah.
thing. And getting that
Yeah.
help could really um, unlock whatever the
Mhm.
procrastination is. Could be
Mhm.
perfectionism getting in the way.
Mhm.
Oh, I should say a fifth thing would sometimes be accountability, and I think that'll be a big part of this group. Is we're gonna start monthly. If it's really popular, we'll do it more, but I'm gonna do a finish it call where
I love that. Okay,
where
for all my pun friends, finish, right? I
I
love
can't take
that so
credit
much.
for that name, but I instantly loved
Well,
it
it's
when I
yours now,
yeah.
so own
Um,
it.
but where we're gonna all get on a call together, we're gonna declare what we're finishing, and you'll have time on the call, co-working time, to work on the last like 5% of a project that just you just want to get out the door, get it off your pile. And at the end of the
Mm.
call, we'll celebrate. Whether you finished it or not, we'll celebrate what you did get done, and there'll always be some learning in those
Yeah.
calls for sure.
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited about that call so much. Yeah, and I feel like when you were telling me about that, I feel really seen, because it's not for not wanting to finish things as a squirrel. It's just that, running around the forest and gathering, nuts and interesting things is so much more fun
Hmm.
than finishing it. So
Well,
thank you
and what
for
I
like that
heard,
brilliant idea.
you're welcome. Thank you for encouraging it. And what I heard over and over when I talked to people was the feeling of shame and guilt that is associated
Oh
with
my
the
goodness.
pile of unfinished things, right? And for one, I really want to help this community feel less of that shame and guilt and those heavy
Yeah,
feelings.
yeah.
And for two, sometimes the things in that pile you really want to finish. And so let's have a supportive way to actually get them done.
Yeah, that energy that kind of comes from like, yeah, there's that. I feel like when I don't get things done that matter, there is that like shame, that like guilt, that like, oh my gosh, like Susan, that self-deprecation that you can do. And even if you know you're doing it and you shouldn't, there's still this that in itself can be such a distraction and then like
Mhm.
an energetic drawdown. So that when you finish things, that's gone. And then there's all the like, oh, I finished. So it's like such a huge opportunity.
Well, the
So
celebration is a huge part of that, right? This is why
yeah,
it's the Happy Squirrel Collective. We're going to spend a lot of time
you're gonna stay
doing
happy. Yeah.
celebrating and not like toxic positivity kind of vibes, but
Oh,
just
thank
like,
you.
heck yeah, we finished something. Let's celebrate that we finished something because so
Right.
many times we don't
Right.
do that. I got to tell you, I have this chart and it's got 12 months of the year and I put all the things I'm celebrating on it. So
Yay.
when I can look back and be like, huh, this is what I did this month. And like, this is
You
what I
know what
did
I
this year.
have, Stephanie?
But
I have a list of all the things I could do. Like
I have those lists too. That's the other
that's
side
my
of the
list.
page.
Like, I want the list that goes with that that said I did all those things. So
Yeah.
yay for see people. This woman, she's just a goddess. Okay, so let's see. What other questions did I have about la 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 scanning my questions? Yeah, I think I asked that one. Check. I asked that one. Check. 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 Oh, so what's my question? I think it's like, okay, I think there's like this whole other, there's the how to work, but I know that you're also like you're in online and you do marketing and all those things. Will I be able to ask you questions about those things too? Like, are there things I can't talk to you about or can't bring up? Do you know what I mean? I didn't really ask you this, but it's more like,
That's
can
okay.
I come to you with the things that I'm dealing with as a business coach?
Yeah. Well, for one, you always can ask me anything. But also, as I think the distinction here is we're going to have the community platform
Mhm.
where people are welcome to ask questions in the platform. We're using Circle, so not Facebook. It's
Thank
really
you.
clean
That is
and
not a place
focused and
bad for squirrels.
glorious. So there are going to be spaces in there to ask questions. There's a space in there about like, how did you do this? Right? So someone has trying to
Mhm.
understand how to do something, they can ask the group. My thinking is that it's probably like 80% business focused and probably 20%, maybe 70-30, because I think our life is, sorry, the other 30%. Um, I just think they're so intertwined and what can help
Yeah.
us in one area helps us in the other. So uh, I definitely think there's going to be both. I would say the thing that is off the table is any sort of medical related thing. This is not a medical diagnosis community managing things from that perspective. So
Yeah.
maybe there's other things that are off the table, but that's the main one that I just want people to know this is not a space for, even if someone joins and they are a qualified doctor or whatever, I don't want them answering
Right.
medical things in
Right.
this space.
Right.
Um, Never off the table, but something I'm trying to be sensitive about is that uh we don't spend a ton of time dwelling in the problem, the angst, the misery, whatever. And
Mhm.
again, with or without ADHD, that's just not the kind of space this is going to be. I really want people to acknowledge when they're in trouble, having a challenge, there's
Mhm.
something they're trying to work through, but we're always going to work through it together.
Nice. Yeah, I
Um,
love that. I love that. Yeah. And we can even like, members can get to know each other and support each other in those. But this feels
Totally.
like to me too, that feels so honoring that, I have my own, share of stuff. This is my place to come and focus on that momentum and that joy and that working out what matters to me.
Yeah.
It's-
I think the other half of your question, you were probably asking about one-on-one coaching. And
Yeah, like, is that a possibility? Is that included? Is it
yeah,
separate? If I want
so
to
what's
buy an
included
hour
is
with
is in the group calls and the community space. And there are definitely going to be things that you might want to go deeper on and that aren't
Right.
appropriate. Not just that they aren't appropriate, but where we can't go quite to the depths we need to in a group setting.
Yeah.
I'm putting together some special packages for Happy Squirrel members for one-on-one coaching. I don't know what they are yet. I'm trying to make sure that I honor like really what the purpose of those would be. So I'm trying to be thoughtful in creating some packages for
Yeah, I
that.
can feel like you're really curious, like what are people going to need versus I'm just going to make the things, you know? So,
Yeah, so every person who joins gets a one-on-one call with me. It's a 20 minutes, and it's less of a deep coaching call and more of a like, hey, let's get to know each other call and what
yeah,
your needs are and what your hopes are,
yeah, yeah.
and how I can support you. And then there would be an option to buy extra coaching. I'm currently, but to pull back the curtain, I'm currently just trying to decide if I want to offer single coaching sessions or if
Mm,
it needs to be in a package. And I'm weighing up the pros and cons of both from a serving people
mm.
well perspective. So
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Can I do some like rapid fire?
yeah,
Just and those articles that you wrote on procrastination and overwhelm and all those things, can we link them below this call so people can get a sense of how you engage challenges, knowing that they'll get so much more in the collective?
sure. I would love
Okay.
to share, especially I'm really proud of the procrastination article that I wrote.
Yay,
So
your work is so great. And also maybe a link to sign up for your newsletter, right? Because sometimes
hmm.
now isn't the time. And people, you really want to be connected to this woman because she's going to give you ways to think about doing things your way, all the while providing like super practical, helpful, supportive advice to still do the thing. So you want to be on her email list and stay connected.
And my
Um,
email list is I call them permission slips. It's all about, again, giving you permission to do business on your own terms. That's stephaniewasylyk.com/permission. I'll
Yeah.
definitely link to it,
Yeah, we're
but
gonna link all this so we can
yeah.
people can find you because squirrels are like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then they're like, where and who and what? Now we don't we want to honor that, we'll remind people. Okay, is this like when are there deadlines? Tell me I like my deadlines. Otherwise, what day wait dates do I need to know about at this point?
Well, put it this way, because I'm not sure when people will be watching this recording. So we have
Mhm.
a kickoff call coming up tomorrow. So in one day
Or
from
this,
this
yeah.
recording. So I imagine people will be watching this recording after the kickoff call,
Yeah, so tomorrow being April 18th.
April 18th,
And
2024, is
2024,
our
and
official
you'll have
kickoff
like,
call.
yeah, also have calls for people along the way. Yeah, so tomorrow's the
Well,
official.
and what I was going to say is whenever you're watching this video, if I'm ever running a promotion, I'll be putting it at the top of the page it's stephaniewasylyk.com/happy squirrel. So right now we have a pre-kickoff call promotion happening. The details and the coupon code are right at the top of that page. Once that promotion is over, it will be gone. And then whatever new promotion will be up there if there is one. So that's where you
Yeah.
can always find the latest information about that.
Okay. So this has been such a great call. And I realize that I have questions, even though I've joined and I'm fully all in. If people want to ask more questions, what's the best way for them to do that?
Uh,
Like, yeah, go ahead.
I think that they could contact me pretty much in any way that they feel comfortable. So
Okay.
you can email me, stephanie@stephaniewasylyk.com. You can PM me on whatever platform you're watching this video,
Mhm,
private
mhm.
message me. And yeah, I mean, you can also ask anyone who's in the collective. You're also welcome to ask them questions about their experience.
Yeah.
If you know someone who's in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can reach out to me and I will direct you to her because she's like a human and she like responds to emails and probably much more quickly than I do because I'm focused and organized. Yeah, let's find a way for those squirrels to find their oak tree, their
Mhm.
grounded oak tree, because I can already feel in my body like like the the sigh. And I have this window here, as you know. like the squirrels are going, it's madness and the things they're doing. And I'm like, oh my God, how amazing it will be for us to still be able to run around, but like in a structured way, be ourselves. So yay. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I'm so excited about this. One question we didn't talk about. Do you have a couple more
Yeah,
minutes?
let's do it.
Okay. You said something like there's lots and lots of communities out there. Why should people join yours? Why should people join this one?
They're all going to have their own strengths, right? And reasons and purposes. And I I do think people should join a community that resonates with them. So
Mhm.
if you're reading about this or you're watching this and it's resonating
Mhm.
with you, I think that's a good kind of indication that this might be a good space to
Yeah.
come be a part of.
Mhm.
The aside from it being ADHD friendly and all of the things we've talked about, uh, I I have a really strong passion for coaching mastery and the beauty that coaching can bring um, to people, basically. And
Mhm.
so, a big distinction I'm making in this space, and it's an
Mhm.
experiment. It's an experiment for me. I haven't seen it done before, but a
Mhm.
really important distinction is that I am not the teacher. I am not the expert. I am the facilitator and I'm the coach.
Mhm.
And I really want people to feel like they're pulling from their own wisdom
Mhm.
and learning from other people in this space. I don't want them thinking that I'm the one with all the answers and the one who will give them the 5 steps to blah de
Mhm.
blah. And so that feels like a distinction to me, a really important distinction. Uh, and yeah, I'm standing by it for now.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I resonate with the resonance. We know when we find our people and we can follow that. We can follow that reliably. And I love that you've set it up so that people can come in and they can try it on for size.
Yeah.
If they don't, that's okay that they go and because they're going to go to the place where they're meant to be. So
I'm doing my very best to make sure there's lots of reminders and touch points to come back to kind of help corral the squirrel brains to make sure that it's a place that they're reminded of often. But I also want it to be a place you want to come to.
yes.
Um, that's super duper important to me. And before I make it sound like I know nothing about ADHD, a lot of my mentors and colleagues,
Mhm.
I'm, leaning on heavily in this process. My coaching supervisor, who helps me with all things coaching, has been really supportive in this.
Mhm.
And, I'm doing a ton of research, again, leaning on the experience of all the clients I've worked with. And so putting that all together has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, this is super exciting. If you're listening to this at any juncture, just join. Because like I said, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get shiz done. And when has that ever been a bad thing? So, all right. Thank you, Stephanie. And we'll see you inside the community.
Thanks, Susan. Thanks for all of your support and encouragement.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so thrilled. Okay.